Welcome to Mega Machines. I'm Tony Saragusa, and we're in the city of Big Bear Lake, California. And this is the show where heavy metal matters. I'm talking about machines, huge machines. In the next hour, I'll be bringing you a look at the biggest and baddest industrial equipment ever made. And I'll be doing more than just browsing. I'll be tackling this one right here. Trust me, what we've got in the next hour will blow your mind. Just take a look.
In the next action-packed hour, we'll be turning Switzerland's subterrane into Swiss cheese, Mega Machine style.
The machine is a very heavy-duty machine for very rough tunneling work.
We'll show you what happens on the railroads when this beast gets ahead of steam.
Well, I guess you could compare it to a dragon as the steam comes out and as it hisses at you, and it looks like it's alive and breathing when we have it fired up and actually operating.
And we'll meet a machine that's bridging the gap in the military's attack plans.
It gets up there, gets the job done, and gets us on the far side of the bridge so we can go get the bad guys.
All that and much more coming up on Mega Machines right now.
Okay, it's time for our first machine. Let's take a look.
Kicking off Mega Machines, we're going underground with a mechanism that every tunnel construction worker can dig. It's the SHAPE ITC 320 tunnel header and loading machine. Stretching 42 feet 5 inches long, 12 feet tall, and 8 feet 2 inches wide. This $700,000 tunnel carving colossus is the digging device of choice for companies constructing everything from railroad tunnels to sewer tunnels. Weighing a stone-shattering 36 tons, this mega mole can hammer and claw its way through nearly 15 feet of solid rock a day. Every time it smashes its 10-foot-long 3-ton hammer assembly into the tunnel face, it can rain down blows at a blistering 17 times a second. Each blow carrying an impact force of 6,000 pounds. That's the weight of 3 cars. In other words, if you want to carve out a name for yourself in the tunnel building business, then you better have an ITC 320.
The main purpose of the machine, as it is a tunnel heading machine, is to excavate the face of the tunnel. More or less all excavation work that you have to perform at the face can be done with this machine. The machine is a very heavy-duty machine for very rough tunneling work.
Right here, below the city streets of Lausanne in Switzerland. That's where the ITC 320 is chewing out a subterranean rail line for a waste treatment company. The secret to the ITC 320's remarkable capabilities comes not only from its phenomenal power, but also from its precision. Thanks to this machine's highly flexible multi-pivot point arm, it can seek out, zero in, and strike at weak spots in the rock surface. Areas with fault lines and flaws. The result is that the rock flakes off the tunnel face with a minimum of force. But the real beauty of this mega machine is its size. Not because it's big, but rather because it's not too big. Yep, this metal miner is made to strip out rock in areas where other, more bulky machines would get stuck.
It is a very compact machine, and so it is able also to go in small and medium-sized tunnels.
This machine is best suited for working in tunnel cross-section from 20 to 60 square meters. And the main reason why is that in such small tunnels you cannot use different equipment like an excavator. It's a very compact machine.
And also a machine that knows how to keep its worksite tidy. The ITC 320 uses a dual-tipped boom, mounted not only with a hammer, but also a bucket. This bucket is used to shovel the shattered rock back to a 13-foot wide mouth, mounted with a conveyor belt system that can swallow 400 cubic yards of rubble an hour. That's the volume of 40 cement trucks. Waiting behind the ITC 320 is a dump truck that catches the rock and takes it out of the tunnel. Meaning, the ITC 320 never has to turn around. But what about toxic engine fumes that can collect in the tunnel? Well, with this device, you have zero emissions, and therefore, zero to worry about.
The quality, emission-free quality, is very important for this machine, especially in tunnel, because the air quality in tunnel have to convene to certain regulation. And as you have different diesel engine working in the tunnel, like the dump trucks and so on, it's very important for us that this machine will work electric. With electric, you have no emission, no pollution, and gives the driver and all the people in the face of the tunnel working in good conditions. For the electric power, we have what we call the cable reel with about 70 meters of cable. This cable reel is driven with a small hydraulic motor.
When we return, we've got the railroad's ultimate snowblower.
It would be weeks before we could get the Sierras open again without this piece of equipment.
Welcome back to Mega Machines. We're in beautiful Big Bear Lake, California, and I'm your host, Tony Saragusa. And this is a show where thin is not in.
We're going underground. It's the SHAPE ITC 320 tunnel header and loading machine.
The main part of this machine is the rock breaker, and this is about 4 tons of weight with an impact energy of about 6,000 joule. This is the hammer, this is the bucket, this is a tool holder with its geometry. We have here the hammer holder. These are cylinders for pushing the hammer forwards, and with the bucket, of course, when you have excavate the vault, you are able to put the material on the apron, and from there, with the onboard conveyor, it will go through the machine to the truck.
But when the ITC 320 is working on a tunnel, it better have your whole attention. Workers have to keep an eye on the machine, who's around them, and even what's above them. Loose rock can rain down in an instant, and it's no good calling out a warning to coworkers, because they can't hear you.
The ear protection in the tunnel are very important because of the noise level. When the machine is operating normally, we have a noise level of about 80 decibel, but when you're using the hammer, the noise level rises up to 100 decibel and more. And this is above the limit of the regulation. That's why you have to wear ear protection.
But from the safety of the ITC 320's crush-resistant cab, operators will continue to bore, burrow, and blast a path through bedrock, building tunnels one blow at a time.
This is a mega machine. Because of its very compact design, it is able to execute enormous jobs.
3 words to characterize the machine. I would say the machine is very flexible. The second, the machine is robust. And the third is emission-free. This machine is my baby.
Jared, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Now, what is this thing behind us?
This is a Dresser 830 motor grader.
Motor grader, huh? And how big is this thing?
It's about 29 feet long. It's 12 feet tall and weighs almost 40,000 pounds.
Has it always been this ugly?
No, we made it this ugly.
Let's go check it out, Jared. Jared, taking a look at this machine, notice that the tire was a little bit off-center. Is that from you guys crashing it around here, or is that supposed to be like that?
No, that's pretty normal operation, Tony. What happens is you adjust these tires from either side. You use this position to prevent a condition they call side draft. When you get a heavy load on your blade, the front of your tractor wants to work its way into your load. So you lay the tires over like this to stabilize your traction.
Jared, we got a long blade here. We got a lot of pistons. How long is this blade?
It's about 14 feet long, Tony.
And these pistons make this blade do all kinds of things. Maybe you could tell us a couple.
Yeah, some of them raise them up and down. Others make it spin 180 degrees. One rolls the blade forward and backward.
Sounds like this thing does a lot of things. Maybe you should go and show us rather than telling us.
Sure, let's go.
That was cool. Now that's what I call a close shave. Check out our next machine.
Next on Mega Machines, we're churning things up with a cold weather colossus that loves to blow through snowbanks and dice drifts. It's the rotary snowplow. To clear America's railroads when they're blanketed by massive snowfalls. The rotary snowplow stands a spine-shivering 16 foot 6 inches tall, takes up 48 feet of track, and weighs a snow-stomping 137 tons. That's nearly 300,000 pounds. Mounted on the bow of this blizzard-eating beast is an 11-foot fan, driven by a 1,750 horsepower engine. Spinning at a snow-chugging 90 revs per minute, this wheel can slice and swallow a wall of rail-clogging snow 12 feet deep and spit it a distance of 100 feet. That's a third of a football field. The cold fact is, when it comes to clearing snow from California's Sierra Nevada mountains, this is hands down the biggest stick in the railroad's bag.
If we didn't have the rotary snowplow available, we wouldn't be able to keep up if we got heavy snows that we have had in the past. It moves such a large amount of snow that we would be shut down, and it would be weeks before we could get the Sierras open again without this piece of equipment. The weather conditions that we bring the rotary out is either we've gotten very heavy snows, so then we'll come out with the rotary and it moves very slowly, but it does move a large amount of snow.
We're moving about 8 miles an hour.
In fact, this machine is so capable at carving a path through the white stuff that the railroads don't bother using it for ordinary snowfalls. Nope, this beast only sees service roughly once a decade. That's the typical time between blizzards big enough to bother getting this rotary all revved up.
The last time we brought the rotary out was 96 and 97. We'd had over 500 inches up on top of the hill when we averaged 450 in an average year. And we had a 12.5 foot bank, so we brought the rotary out, and then the following day we plowed from Emigrant Gap to Truckee and cleared the railroad up. To put together a snow train, we will start with a rotary on each end. Against those rotaries, we will have a B unit, or what some people call a slug. That's a locomotive that powers the blade itself. Then there's 2 locomotives in the middle, which are AC locomotives. The wings on the side, they're developed to operate so we can cut a wider path. And so we can shoot that wing out there and actually give us another foot. So that's why the wings are so important to us, is to just make our path wider, and it picks up more snow for us.
Believe it or not, rotary snowplows are not modern inventions. This once steam-powered machine was actually built back in 1937. But while converted to diesel-driven electric in 1957, it still uses these boiling hot vapors to keep this snow-blowing operation on track.
The thing we use the steam for is to keep the windows clean, to keep the joints for the wings working, and of course we still have the steam whistle, which everybody loves. But that's what keeps everything working and operating so it doesn't freeze up on us. Well, I guess you could compare it to a dragon as the steam comes out and as it hisses at you, and it looks like it's alive and breathing when we have it fired up and actually operating. Okay, here we're at the front of the rotary. As you can see, we have the blades. Those are 11 feet across. The snow is picked up into the blade as it spins, and it goes out the top. Depending way up there at the top which way we have the chute going and the blade rotating, that's the direction that we will throw the snow. Here we're in the rotary snowplow control cab. And up here we have, these are rather unique, windows that rotate. These were developed by ships at sea when they were in high seas. As they rotate, you never see anything hit the windshield. So when heavy snows, we don't see anything hit there at all. It's always clear.
But what's never clear while operating in these conditions is what's on the hillside above you. Go banging through a mountain pass with this snowplow, and the mountain could come crashing down.
Well, whenever we have the rotary out, it's generally potentially dangerous because we've had very heavy snows. In that case, we're in slide conditions. And so the biggest thing that we probably worry about is slides off of the side of the hill that may come down and bury us or tip us over. In 82 and 83, they had 194 inches come down in a few days on a base of 94 inches. We weren't blowing the whistle, we were being as quiet as we could because we were so concerned about slides.
But with a careful eye on the mountain above you, the rotary snowplow will keep rolling, relentlessly removing snow, keeping America's railroads running.
Yeah, it's a pretty incredible machine. It is very powerful and it does move a lot of snow. And consider how long it's been out here operating, that it's pretty incredible that it still works today like it does and as well as it does.
Jared here was showing me around this grader, and I gotta say, Jared, this thing looks agile, but it looks confusing. Maybe you wouldn't mind giving me a little lesson.
Sure, Tony.
Jared, I know what this is. This is the steering wheel. Let me know what everything else is. What do we got here?
This control raises and lowers the right side of the blade.
Okay. And
Next control will straighten up your tires unless you need additional traction when you can lower them. This control here works the articulated rear steering.
While we go over the rest of these controls, check out our next machine.
The Heavy Expanded Mobility Tactical Truck, or HEMTT, is the military's main way of moving ground supplies from the warehouse to the war front. It stands to attention at 9 feet 4 inches tall, 33 feet 4 inches long, and 8 feet wide, and weighs a major 62,000 pounds. And that's before it carries a thing. Load up this $225,000 delivery truck with 13 tons of supplies, and this armor-plated pack horse now weighs a ground-assaulting 88,000 pounds. But in a cross-country battle, you can forget about taking the freeway to deliver what you got. So when the terrain gets tough, you call on the HEMTT to haul it.
The HEMTT was developed as a requirement after Vietnam in the 70s. They had an older fleet of trucks, and they were looking for a truck that had higher mobility and higher payload capacity. So the requirement came out for a high mobility, higher payload vehicle, which is how the HEMTT was originally conceived by the Army.
Senior test technician Stephen Binder loves to put the HEMTT through its paces. His division at Oshkosh has been beating on these machines for the better part of 20 years. But the HEMTT rarely breaks.
The HEMTT is an awesome vehicle to drive. The vehicle has been through rigorous testing. We have tested the vehicles continually. Out on the test courses, it is a very rugged and robust vehicle.
You should never have to throw away a HEMTT. Today we've built over 16,000 for U.S. Army and for foreign allies, so it's been a very successful vehicle.
But to begin with, this 6-speed, 4-axle, 445 horsepower, 12.1 liter, 8-cylinder all-terrain truck was a big step for military brass, who believed in tank tracks, not tires.
I think the HEMTT was one of the first vehicles that broke the paradigm that if it's a wheeled vehicle, it doesn't have the mobility that it needs in off-road operations, the combat operations. Everything was on tracks if it needed to go off-road in severe cross-country operations as you see in combat.
What changed the military's mind? Not 4, not 6, but 8-wheel drive.
The HEMTT has 4 axles, 8 tires, 8 wheels, so it is an 8x8, 8-wheel drive truck. It's an extremely high mobility vehicle.
And it's not just what it can go over. It's also what HEMTT's cabin design allows it to go up.
The HEMTT cab was designed, if you notice the nose cone cab, for approaching severe angles of approach. The HEMTT is able to traverse a 60-degree slope angle. If you try that with your SUV and so forth, you won't even get close to that.
Coming up after the break.
It is one of the most powerful tugboats in the world, and it has capabilities that you can find nowhere else.
It's exhilarating, you know, is what it is.
Welcome back to Mega Machines. We're in beautiful Big Bear Lake, California, and I'm your host, Tony Saragusa.
We're hitting the wilderness with a pair of the planet's most capable off-road transport vehicles. First up, an Army truck that's never seen terrain it can't tackle. Oshkosh's HEMTT. HEMTT is not only designed to make short work of the terrain, it's also built to make the once slow process of unloading and loading now lightning fast.
The load handling system allows an operator from inside the cab to actually drop, load, and unload a palletized load on a flat rack. On the HEMTT, it made moving of heavy-duty payloads much simpler than it had been in the past. Used less material handling equipment. It eliminated the need for cranes and forklifts and pallets and those types of operation. Now, with the load handling system, you can load that whole system on a truck or unload it in less than a minute.
Yep, when it comes to soldiering supplies across the toughest of terrain, HEMTT can handle it.
In my perspective, no other truck can top the HEMTT. The HEMTT is the ultimate off-road handler.
It is a tough, reliable, dependable vehicle. Just look at it.
But even a machine as capable as the HEMTT has its limitations as to where it can go, like deep into the snow-covered tundra at the edge of Alaska's Arctic Circle. To get trucking across this protected landscape, you need the ultimate light-treading cold-weather machine. Catco's Tundra Truck all-terrain vehicle. Standing a stone-cold 14 feet high, a frosty 35 feet long, and 16 feet wide. The all-aluminum 350 horsepower Catco Tundra truck can carry cargo weighing 30,000 pounds, all while traveling at speeds of up to 21 miles per hour. And oh yeah, in weather conditions of 65 below. Hitch up another trailer, and Catco now stretches 60 feet and weighs 60,000 pounds. But the big deal about this big machine is that it's designed to leave the land where it works, the highly protected Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, just the way it found it.
This is the only heavy hauling vehicle that goes across the tundra. A lot of what the Catco unit's used for in the Prudhoe Bay area is the support of the oil industry. The Catco is used to mobilize their equipment to a site, which will mean the drill rigs, any of the consumables the drill rig will use, anything to set up that temporary exploration site, and it does no damage to the tundra.
So how do you haul tens of thousands of pounds of equipment across hundreds of miles of Arctic without trashing the delicate tundra? Well, you tread lightly with perhaps the world's weirdest tires. What Catco calls bags, all connected to a one-of-a-kind drive system.
The unique thing about the Catco is its drive system. It's roller-driven, and it's the friction between the roller and the bag that propels you. The design of the bag is just a smooth bag, whereas if you had a tire with tread, you would then tend to dig up the tundra. The Catco unit has many bags, and that's what gives it its low pressure on the tundra or the area you're working. And the bigger the unit, the more tires or bags we have underneath of it, obviously spreading that load over a bit larger areas.
But what can do harm is the harsh environment drivers must operate in. Run a Catco out here, and you might as well be on the moon.
When the drivers take the Catco units out to remote sites, we travel in pairs, and we've learned that over time is the best way to do it. They're away from any infrastructure. They're out by themselves, and they hit conditions, especially whiteouts. This is the snow blowing so bad they can't see, and they have to be able to deal with it and get back to their base camp or to wherever they're going. They have to be self-sufficient when they're out miles from anything else in freezing cold.
It's unlikely that any more Catcos will ever be built. These machines themselves are more than 20 years old. But the fact remains that despite so many advances in technology, when it comes to traveling over tundra, Catco still leaves every other machine, well, cold.
I think the real unique thing of the Catco unit is its ability to work in this environment, and it's environmentally friendly and does no damage. Gets to all the remote locations they need to get to, and you can't tell it's been there when they're done.
Before the last break, I got a chance to go and run this machine around. There's a lot of levers, Jared, but I think I got it down. You know, I pick up things very quick.
Heard that before. You want to race me through our course?
Is that a challenge?
You bet.
Bring it on, baby.
Let's go.
Jared, I know what you're thinking. This guy comes in from out of town, from New Jersey, nowhere, jumps on my machine, and does an unbelievable job, and now I gotta outdo him, and I'm a little nervous, right?
Not exactly. I was mostly thinking about the cone you knocked over and the holes you made.
All right, keep them thoughts to yourself. Check out our next machine while me and Jarrett discuss this. Now, didn't I tell you I was from New Jersey?
Next on Mega Machines, we're taken to the high seas in search of the marine world's biggest muscle. It's Crowley Marine Service's Prince William Sound class tug. At 153 feet, Crowley Marine Service's Prince William Sound class oil tanker towing tug stretches a hulking half a football field long and boasts a beam, width that is, of 48 feet. This tenacious 2.1 million pound or 951 ton tug packs two truck-sized 60-liter, 12-cylinder engines that pump out a ship-shuddering 10,200 horsepower combined. Enough ponies to punch this ship-wrangling machine through the water at 16 knots. All while applying an astonishing 1/3 of a million pounds of pulling force. It's the only machine with enough oomph to manhandle and maneuver the 1,000-foot-long, 300,000-ton supertankers that constantly sail in and out of the port of Valdez, Alaska, the endpoint of the Alaska oil pipeline.
This is the Prince William Sound class tug in what we refer to as an enhanced tractor tug. The tugs were designed and built as prevention, oil spill prevention, by keeping the tankers in the traffic lanes and keeping them from having any incidents while navigating the waters of Prince William Sound. Yeah, this is not your normal tugboat.
For salty dogs like Captain Rick Martini, this machine's sizable capabilities tugs at his heartstrings.
Driving the Prince William Sound class tractor tug is a phenomenal experience. To have the horsepower and the maneuverability of this tug surpasses any other tug that I've ever run. Imagine yourself as a water skier going out on your line, digging in with your ski, and the force of the water skier will just about stop the ski boat, and that's exactly what these boats are doing.
We're in the wheelhouse of the enhanced tractor tug of the Prince William Sound class. What we're looking at right here is the actual propulsion control for the 10,000 horsepower engines in the basement and the Voith Schneider propeller system. The two levers right here are port and starboard actual thrust control, forward or reverse, with the wheel being the directional control. When we come to the other end, it's an identical set of controls as we just seen there to operate the vessel from the working end when the tug is tethered to a tanker through the 10-inch circumference line, which has the capabilities of supporting over 1 million pounds. This right here is the 10-inch circumference Spectra line, which is tethered to the 1,000-foot tankers to allow them safe navigation through the waters of Prince William Sound. There's approximately 1,000 feet on here. During working operations, anywhere from 300 to 600 feet are deployed to the tanker.
But taking tankers out to sea isn't as routine as it looks. Tow 300,000 tons while navigating the area's infamous shipping lanes. And these waters can quickly turn treacherous.
The port of Valdez is very narrow. The entrance is very narrow for a large tanker to transit. We have rocks, we have shoals, we have reefs, we have ice coming off the Columbia Glacier, and we have the winter weather, the high winds and seas that we experience in the Gulf of Alaska, and we have a lot of traffic. A lot of fishing vessels, a lot of kayakers, just a lot of vessels in the system.
But attached to Crowley's Prince William Sound class tug, these floating oil cans are in the safest of hands when escorted out to sea.
The Prince William Sound Class tug is a mega machine because it is the best available technology in our industry. It is one of the most powerful tugboats in the world, and it has capabilities that you can find nowhere else.
That's exhilarating, you know, is what it is.
Jared here didn't think I could do it, so what do you think?
You did all right. You surprised me.
So pretty much you're saying that I could do a better job than you?
No way.
I'm going a little too far with that?
A little too far.
How about this? How about we wager something? What would you like that I could give you if you beat me?
I'd like a new car.
You're out of your mind. I'll give you a sweatshirt.
You're on.
Go! All right, slow start. Oh, he just shifted the gears. Here he goes. Plow's going down. Oh, nice. He's working that plow pretty good. This is where I got stuck now. He's got a little bit more experience than me. Pull the plow up. There he's coming around. Tilting them front tires. There he goes. Running through it. And he crosses the finish line. All right, hotshot. You beat me. It's not a car, but how about a hack because you beat me that bad? Check out our last machine.
The Armored Vehicle Launched Bridge, or AVLB, is the Army's lightning-fast answer to overcoming water obstacles. An immense Instabridge, stretching a river romping 32 feet long and 13 feet 1 inch wide. Marshaled by a Detroit diesel V12 engine, packing 750 ponies, this bulletproof private takes to the battlefield at 63 tons. That is the weight of 30 cars. Staff Sergeant Jeffrey L. Griffith has been launching this mobile mega bridge since the 1990s. But for Jeff, it's an experience straight out of the 1500s.
This thing feels like driving a medieval siege engine. Okay, if you can picture yourself back in the days year ago whenever they're pushing that tower up to the castle wall, this is the tower, find the castle wall, you're there. The AVLB is the Armored Vehicle Launched Bridge. It's a system consisting of the carrier, which is an M48 tank chassis. It was stripped down, they welded this all on the front of it and converted it into a launcher. Okay, it's a launching platform used to launch, retrieve, and transport the bridge that it hauls, which is the scissor bridge.
And this is no flimsy bridge built for civilians. This 30,000-pound aluminum structure can extend 60 feet to bridge a gap, and then support an astonishing 60 tons of traffic. That's the weight of more than 20 minivans, or more importantly, just about anything the Army can roll over it.
The bridge will support M88s, it'll support everything that we have in the Army inventory, depending on the size of the gap.
Welcome back to Big Bear Lake, California. I'm the Goose, and this is Mega Machines.
Finishing off Mega Machines, we're bridging the gap between victory and defeat with a device that helps the military make it to the other side. It's the Armored Vehicle Launched Bridge, or AVLB.
This is how the AVLB system works. First of all, you have the cables. They wrap around the cam in the middle, which is hooked to a huge hydraulic cylinder, which gives the bridge the leverage when you start raising that up after you have the bridge up on top. That raises the entire bridge up to what we call the vertical position. Okay, once you have it in the vertical position, then you have to work two levers at the same time. You have to work number 2 and number 3. Now what number 2 and number 3 does is actuates the scissor cylinder within the bridge, which causes the bridge to unfold.
The AVLB even launches some subterfuge to keep the enemy misty about what the military's up to.
These are the rear grills. This is where all the exhaust gases come out of the back of the tank. As a provided security feature, the system allows for you to be concealed from the enemy. The way it does it is it dumps raw diesel fuel into the exhaust, which makes a big cloud of smoke and covers the entire vehicle and the bridge that you're attempting to launch, and basically obscures you from the enemy.
But despite the AVLB smokescreen, in the heat of battle, no machine is invincible. So the AVLB's mission is to move fast and deploy double quick, or face the fury of enemy fire.
Okay, the bridge can be launched in 2 to 5 minutes. If you're being shot at, 2 to 5 minutes can be a long time. But consider the other options. The other options would be manually in place bridging, which takes a platoon of people, that's about 30 soldiers, about 4 hours to in place across the 60-foot gap. I think this piece of equipment is valued and trusted on the battlefield. It's maintenance intensive, but also a very dependable piece of equipment.
So when the Army enters into the fray, when they need to turn an impasse into an overpass, the armored vehicle launched bridge is always within reach.
What impresses me about the AVLB is when it's used in a battlefield scenario, it saves lives. That's the bottom line there. The way it saves lives is because it gets us across an enemy obstacle expediently. We don't have to stop, we don't have to wait, we don't have to go around. You just plop the bridge down and drive over it so we can go get the bad guys.